Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, Paul C. Metzer, James E. Mullen Jr., Penfield Town Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I'm demanding public information from you using the legally binding document that's the Freedom of Information Law. There are 11 attached in PDF. This document I'm going to hold up, you received on May 6th, May 4th, and May 2nd. I'm demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors' silence. So I've been in jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor has not talked in court. I'm being convicted on paper by you psychopaths, the district attorney's office, and you're refusing to disclose the names of my prosecutors' silence, as is public defender Julie Sianka. And I'm going to be contacting the Monroe County Legislature about you soon. Julie Sianka in the person of Sabrina Lamar, the president of it. I'm going to send her photographs, the envelopes you sent back to me. You, Julie Sianka, and Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips, and Assistant Public Defender Gina Harper, know the names of my prosecutors, have the names of my prosecutors, can tell me the names of my prosecutors, and you're refusing, and that's corruption. So there were 11 in here, Freedom of Information Law. First one I'm going to talk about is the grand jury, Michelle Crowley. How come I wasn't called to the grand jury? So there's 11 in here. See that? 11. I communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. You don't know anything about Brooklyn, New York. You hacks and sociopaths, I'll guess, have spent the last 25, 30 years in Monroe County. That's what I believe about Sheriff's Office employees, supervisors, District Attorney's Office employees, supervisors. And what the hell do you know about life? Being in Monroe County for 25, 30, 35 years. Todd Baxter and Sandra, you certainly have been in Monroe County for the last 30 years. What a joke. You will never know you wasted your life in Monroe County. You don't know anything about Washington, D.C. You don't know anything about Albany. You don't know anything about New York City. You don't know anything about Long Island. All places I've lived. All 4 of those places I've lived. Wasted your life, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, and employees of the District Attorney's Office who are supervisors in Monroe County. Do you think this is some kind of paradise? I got news for you. News flash to employees of the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office. Monroe County is in paradise. 0 you're going to comply with. I'm going to tell you about crimes that are being committed by Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Richard J. Seaman and other crimes being committed, such as Lee LaRoque, being in my residence with a document that's not a search warrant. Paul C. Metzer wants to be in my residence. So do you, Lee LaRoque. 2 people get inside without proper cause. Where's my Chromebook? You $97,000 fat girl, Lee LaRoque. Being attacked outside the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans. Attacked by Richard J. Seaman at the Penfield Public Library. Attacked at the jail. I've been attacked at other places because of you being a Muslim skinhead, Todd Baxter. So this is, it says rent and illegal lockouts. This is so old that it was going on with COVID. Was still an issue in the country. This is the key thing. I'm going to tell you about crimes that are being committed. You will not arrest these individuals that have committed these crimes. Yet, you'll concoct crimes for me. The verification, and I'm an innocent man, I've never committed crimes. Prosecutors never talked to court. So as Richard J. Seaman runs into the Penfield Public Library, when I say runs, he ran at me. I stand up at the computer, he comes running at me, he takes his arm, slams it at the side of my head. It's the force of Richard J. Seaman's arm hitting me in the head. I fell down, my head hit the ceramic tile, puts the handcuffs on me, takes me to Paul C. Metzer, who's sitting there when the district attorney's office is not notified. There's no assistant district attorney in there to make an argument I committed a crime. This $28,000 bald-headed widow is sitting there in that revolting star chamber by herself, delivering me to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, where I don't live. And you allow her to do this, Sandra Doorley, because you're corrupt. So, it is illegal for your landlord to change the lock, shut off the utilities, physically remove your belongings without a court order for eviction. When I out-processed from Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, where I don't live, District Attorney Sandra and Todd Baxter, I go back to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I get my backpack. I had it on me when Richard J. Seaman attacked me at the Penfield Public Library. I run down Penfield Road. I got my key in my hand as I'm running. I'm thinking, get back to Albany. I'm saying this to myself over and over and over. I put the key in the front door. It doesn't open the door. I go around to the back. There's a key with a New York Mets logo. that can open the front door, spare key, that doesn't open. The sliding glass door that was broken, I would slide open, has been fixed. I'm locked out. It's illegal for your landlord to change the lock, shut off utilities, or physically remove your belongings without a court or eviction. He also physically removed my belongings with my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, who's copied in a blind copy on this. Laura, do you know you need a court order? What happened when this 80-year-old man, Antonino Spano, called you? Now, you listen to me, you hacks, sociopaths, psychopaths, to the district attorney's office. You will not arrest 80-year-old Antonino Spano, Fairport, New York, because he's 80 years old. That's going to be your reason why. And he's going to claim something ludicrous that he didn't know that this was illegal. He speaks in broken English, too. And I'm sure he's going to use that as some kind of ignoramus defense for him, too, Antonino Spano. 80-year-old man speaks in broken English, who locks the doors and locks me out, and you will not arrest him. He will not be prosecuted. It's not going to be one goddamn day in jail for this 80-year-old man, because he's insulated from the fact that he's an 80-year-old man, from the fact of prosecution. There are times I think about what he's done to me when I'm in Harris Whalen Park and I'm sleeping, trying to sleep, on a bench next to the baseball field at 2 o'clock in the morning. Strangers are walking through that park, and wild animals are around me, and other things, and the rain would come down on me, and I have to walk over to Target, sleep underneath the trucks. I'm thinking about this 80-year-old man the whole time, and I'm thinking if hell is 5,000 degrees for this 80-year-old man, it's not hot enough. So, I own nothing, I have nothing, because this 80-year-old man and my ex-girlfriend. I'm going to say this again for you psychopaths, district attorneys, sheriff's office, because you will not arrest him. It is illegal for your landlord to change the lock, shut off utilities, physically remove your belongings without a court order for eviction. I don't have my dress greens from 2nd Squadron, 17th Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division, because of this 80-year-old man. So, it's not a crime to walk through this parking lot. This is Nehra Shah, 50-year-old man who lives with his 70-year-old mother. There are 2 of my neighbors right there. You can see them clearly. This is in your office's photograph over and over and over. Falsely reporting an incident. As I'm not an attorney, I don't have the arrogance that I'm right about everything. But to go to the sheriff's office and demand I be arrested for this parking lot, I have walked through 4,000 times. Just like my excellent friend Adam, who lived right next to me over here. The woman that lives across the street from a Sandstorm Drive. One of the sweetest, nicest people anybody could ever meet. A 2-year-old woman who lives alone with a dog. She walks through this parking lot. Penfield High School students in red athletic apparel walk through this parking lot. There's a parade of individuals every day walking through that parking lot, Todd Baxter. So where's my 14th Amendment right, the equal protection of laws, when your cop freak writes this document here that says warrant advised from me? This is Shannon Meyer here. And then his supervisor's signature. Again, Deputy Meyer. This is the unprofessionalism. Who signed off on this? Because I don't know who this sociopath, this hack, this psychopath is at the sheriff's office, where it says Deputy Meyer, and here's the signature for your employee here. Who supervises this $83,000 disgusting, sickening degenerate you gave a $16,000 raise to? So I took every sentence from this piece of fiction that's here. That's on here over and over and over in your office here. On the above date, approximately 1440 HRS, I responded to the above location report of male trespassing. Tell your $83,000 cop freak, Shannon Meyer, to go right here, stand right here. And every time 1 foot goes into this parking lot, the handcuffs better go on to someone. How ludicrous is that? How insane is that? That's because you're ludicrous and insane. You Benito Mussolini skinhead employing this cop freak here, doing this to me. 4,000 times I've walked through this parking lot. You Benito Mussolini skinhead. Am I New York's 4,000 time criminal? $0 Michael Radler, $34,000 Kathleen Miller, $101,000 William Tadeo? The answer is yes, because it is cop freak Shannon Meyer right here. I've talked about repeatedly. April 16th. And I'm telling you on April 16th, what's today's date? You psychopaths at the sheriff's office, you psychopaths at the district attorney's office, I'm demanding you disclose the names of my prosecutors. April 16th. Julie Sianka. You know the names of my prosecutors. Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips, Assistant Public Defender Regina Harper. You know the names of my prosecutors. And when I contact Sabrina Lamar, the president of Monroe County Legislature, and every Monroe County legislature, they're all going to get a packet from me. How is this defended? You're appointed by the Monroe County Legislature, I believe. Is that correct, Julie Sianka? Because they had some big thing, some type of Lord of the Flies process where you're the one that was selected, Julie Sianka. Am I right? How do you explain yourself, Julie Sianka, when I contact Sabrina Law and every member of the Monroe County Legislature, when I say the public defender in Monroe County refuses to disclose the names of prosecutors assigned to my court appearances, when I'm in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr., it's a female, who I believe is Julie Hahn, but I don't know. Is that Julie Hahn or is not Julie Hahn? If it's not Julie Hahn, who is it? When I'm in front of Paul C. Metzer, the 5'2" three-piece suit boy, what's his name? Quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. You know his name, Regina Hart, because that's what you said to me. When I'm forced into supervising Judge Alex Renzi's $208,000 7-year-old hacking fossil, former employee of the district attorney's office, who's a prosecutor's judge, I have an assistant district attorney signed to that appearance. And who is it? I have multiple prosecutors. I can have at least 10 prosecutors. Who is it? You know who it is, public defender Julie Sianka. You know who it is, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, who's the de facto district attorney in Monroe County. It's a Sandra Doorley going to the office, work the standard 40-hour work week, 9 to 5, 47 South Midsview, or does she work from home? If she goes into the office, does she have a chauffeur? Does she have a driver? Does this pathetic diva get behind the wheel and drive herself into the office like an ordinary New Yorker? Or does someone drive her into the office? What's the answer? So, mail the names on prosecutors Sons below to Rochester, New York. Read the 6-attached PDF document and answer me about sexual harassment in your offices. Fire Shannon and Meyer, Todd. Not only to fire, you gave this hack a $16,000 raise. This is why you should fire her. It's not because of violating my civil and constitutional rights. One for my arrest for walk through a parking lot 4,000 times. And set in motion everything that's happened to me is because of this cop freak, $83,000 Shannon Meyer. She will violate the civil and constitutional rights of other New Yorkers. I guarantee you, Todd Baxter. And that doesn't matter to you. Do you know why, Todd Baxter? Because you're a criminal and you approve of criminal behavior by your own Monroe County Sheriff Office employees. That's why. It doesn't matter to you that Richard J. Sieben violently attacked me at the Penfield Public Library. It doesn't matter to you Leela Roque is in my residence with a search warrant that's not a search warrant because there's no probable cause. She ends it with which my Chromebook tears the whole place apart. It doesn't matter to you that I'm attacked at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans where you psychopaths, you 5 Eagles, 10 plus employees stalked me over there. I had to get an MRI. I'm in the MRI too, my head pounding because my head slammed down on a concrete pavement. None of this matters to you. Because you're a psychopath, Todd Baxter. That's why. The Shield, Disordered, Answer Me Laura Riley. Telling my ex-girlfriend on YouTube. Answer Me Laura Riley, April 16, 2023. The facts and circumstances of what? You could go to that YouTube that you have. Facts and circumstances of legal eviction. I'm going to say this again. Corruption requires repetition. Is it illegal for your landlord to change the lock, shut up utilities, or physically remove your belongings without a court order for eviction? That's the law in the state of New York. The law in the state of New York is a joke to you. When I write this criminal complaint in detail, it could be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words about what happened to me for that 3-week period when I'm outside with no money for food. I'm in that park. Other things are happening to me. The rain coming down on me. Anthony Ospano will not be arrested. Because you're psychopaths at the sheriff's office. Because you're psychopaths at the district attorney's office. That's why. So. Not a crime to walk to that parking lot ever. You'll have to say, Sheriff Todd Baxter, that this is a crime to walk through this parking lot. The lunatic fringe of you. Todd Baxter, say it. Say this is a crime to walk through this parking lot in Penfield, New York. Todd K. Baxter. Say it to my face. Say it to my face, $101,000 lien today. How many times I've demanded the names of my prosecutors? There could be 2,000 documents on here. And given what I'm doing to you, like right now, coming over my residence, they were never there before. This is Monroe County Sheriff. This is where I used to live here. This is my front lawn. See right there where the sheriff office vehicle is? I come out here, stand right here. I tell Steve Debs and Brock Colatree and Lonker nobody owns the land, walk back in my residence. Do you know why? Timothy Murphy, the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, can't confirm anybody owns this land. Desmond, pay attention, Perry Douglas. Because when I filed a criminal complaint about this Nayrod shot, this is what you're doing to me, this is what Shannon Meyer's doing to me. This is my front lawn right here. Desmond would ride his tractor up on my front lawn right here when he would turn around. This land over here, you can see from Penfield, has no ownership because there's no documentation. When I bought my house in 1997, when I was 32 years old in the Guilderland, New York suburb of the city of Albany, I sat down with my realtor, Gloria, as I would call her, the realtor to the stars, and she gave me a document that had a seal or a notarization or some type of marking where she said, you own this land on this cul-de-sac at 4060 Georgetown Square in Guilderland, New York. This is your house and this is your land. They have nothing like this, these freaks. Mother-son freaks. 50-year-old man lives with a 7-year-old mother in a shop. No one owns that land. You could look at it and see no one owns the land, but that's not good enough. Documentation is proved, land ownership is proved by documentation. They don't have it. Now pay attention, you beating a Muslim skinhead, Todd Baxter. Even if this mother-son psychopath, Neeraj Shah and Layla Kumar Shah, have documentation that miraculously proves ownership of this land next to where I used to live at 26 Sandra Farm Drive in Penfield, it's not a crime to exit my residence for 30 seconds, stand right here on this pavement, I'm right there, and walk back in my residence. You knew I was standing on that pavement, Todd Baxter. Do you, Todd Baxter, know how I was standing on that pavement? Do you know what I'm talking about? You Benito Mussolini skinhead? Because, what was I on, Todd Baxter? So I'm looking for the high resolution color photo, but I'm also going to show you what I'm talking about, the criminal complaint I'm going to file about this Neeraj Shah and what he sent me. And this is not going to matter to you, that you're destroying my life. This sick degenerate is going to the sheriff's office demanding I be arrested, and he doesn't have documentation to prove that he owns this land, because this is what he sent me. This is fantasy land. This is the fantasy land of Neeraj Shah's head. This is nothing. Documentation proves land ownership. He doesn't have it. Timothy Murphy, the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, can't confirm it. He's sick. He's a psychopath. Just like you, Todd Baxter, you're a psychopath. Shannon Meyer's a psychopath. Every single one of you employees, when I mention the name of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, that's a psychopath. Every single time. So, it just does not matter to you that this is absolute fanaticism and corruption and hatred. Now, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley. You know how you can see me standing in that parking lot that I just showed you on that concrete? Do you know how, Todd Baxter? How can you see my physical image and my likeness and my right arm moving like this? Standing right in the concrete of that parking lot, Todd Baxter. How can you do it? How can you do it, Sandra Doorley? I'm going to show you right now how you can see me. Freedom of information, excuse me. January 16th, 2023. This photographs why you're a fanatic. This photographs why you're an extremist. This photographs why you're a liar. This photographs why I know the name of your $67,000 disgusting ass Shannon Meyer. This photographs why people hate the police. I've been on it over and over and over. It's right there. Todd Baxter, that's called a surveillance device. If that's not called a surveillance device and it's not on that building, then what is it? Elliot Roth, is this private technology at your building for your business called Consumer Insights where you're the president at 2025 Penfield Road? Or do these psychopaths buy it and fix it for me? Penfield, New York is not Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Todd Baxter. It's not the Anacostia neighborhood of Washington, D.C. And I've been in both of those neighborhoods. What's this camera needed for? Is this for the security of your building, Elliot Roth? Or do these psychopaths at the sheriff's office put it on your building? When I state the lunatic fringe, I'm pointing at the lunatic fringe. William Tadeo, Scott Alberti, Kathleen Miller, $0 Michael Rattler. This is why your boss is a freak. This is why your boss employs cop freak Shannon Meyer gave a $16,000 raise to. So, Todd Baxter. I violently attacked at Wegmans. My head slams down on the concrete pavement. And that doesn't matter to you. At all. You know why, Todd Baxter?
Monroe County Sheriff Office employees Todd Thurston, Scott Alberti, William Tadeo, Kathleen Miller. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been an innocent man in jail 6 times. I'm going to tell you about one of those times in this brief time I have on this TikTok app. About $75,000 Richard J. Seaman, who will not be fired. So Todd Thurston, you're the community engagement officer, so I'm going to tell you what happened to me in the community of Penfield, New York, where I spent years. I walk into the Penfield Public Library. I do not know I'm being stalked into the library by $75,000 Richard J. Seaman because one person, bald-headed widow, Policy Messer, on a $28,000 salary in Penfield Town Hall wants to send me to jail. I sit down at the computer. Richard J. Seaman runs at me, extends his arm, slams me in the head with his arm. And when I fell down, my head bounced off Todd. What do you think about what I just said, Todd Thurston, about the community of Penfield Town Court and his violent attack upon me by Richard J. Seaman? And when I write the assault complaint about him, he won't be fired because the Monroe County Sheriff's Office embraces violence. I leave my residence to go to Gold's Gym in Fairport. I arrive at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans on Penfield Road, and 5 Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicles stopped. 10 plus employees there for me. 1 Monroe County Sheriff Office employee ran at me, drove his shoulder into my hip, knocked me down, and my head slammed down upon the concrete pavement. What do you think about what I just told you in the community of Penfield, New York, Todd Thurston? It's a violent attack upon me, and I do not know his name. Your female employee with the Marine-style haircut and tattoos can identify him. And you know what she's going to say, Todd Thurston? Nothing. Because she's the blue wall of silence. Every single one of you employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is the blue wall of silence. I had to get an MRI because it's a violent attack upon me by this psychopath. And when I'm in the MRI tube, I do not know. My left foot is moving. The technician is saying to me over and over, "Don't move your foot, Chris." What do you think about what I'm saying to you, Monroe County Sheriff Office employees? What you think is obvious. You're the blue wall of silence. It doesn't matter to you that I'm violently attacked outside the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans. It doesn't matter to you. This is a sworn officer of law with a holstered weapon and a badge, dedicated to the law and decency and morality, violently attacking me. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have never committed a crime. And every single name I said on here, you're in Jonestown.
So in Jonestown, of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, of Sandra Doorley, and in the Jonestown, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter, this is the Freedom of Information Law, dated this May 9th, that you have received also on May 6th, May 4th, May 2nd, April 30th. That's all in here too. So 4 times there. It's the 5th time in less than 2 weeks. Every single one here. Tell me what I'm demanding. Disclose information to me. The first one is this grand jury where I leave my residence 2 years ago. Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto, Todd Baxter, $73,000 freak and $85,000 freak come running at me. I never stopped running when I ran back to my back porch. I placed my foot on the first of 3 steps. The hammer I just grabbed next to my bike goes up because Michael Houlihan grabbed my arm. I run through the sliding glass door. I say on the body camera footage from either Michael Houlihan or Don Benedetto, "Fuck you, I never stopped running." Since I never stopped running, I can't swing a hammer at psychopath cop $73,000 Michael Houlihan. If I wanted to swing a hammer at psychopath cop Michael Houlihan, I would have cracked it over his fucking head and he would have been unconscious next to my back porch. I have never in my long life of 57 years ever engaged in violence, and I'm indicted for this fiction, this fantasy, this lie inside the 1984 head of Michael Houlihan, who lied under oath to your grand jury, Michelle Crowley, when he said I swung a hammer at him. There's no contact from you to me about the convening of this grand jury. I'm not called to the grand jury. And when Michael Houlihan states in the grand jury I swung a hammer at him, Michael Houlihan purged himself. Freedom of Information Law, dated this May 9th. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That's 1, the month and year the grand jury is convened. 2, the assigned District Attorney's Office employee that addressed the grand jury. 3, the witnesses that testified to the grand jury. The vote of the grand jurors, the transcript of the grand jury proceeding. You're not going to comply with any of these because you're psychopaths. That's why. When I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Sieben at $61.39 in my pocket, that check expired. I did not cash it because I was holding it up on YouTube, and I knew I was going to go to YouTube and hold this up and say, this is the price of violence. Freedom of Information Law, dated this May 9th, the issuance of a new check to Christopher Childress, the address below for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the County of Monroe, Office of the Sheriff, inmate fund account. Inmate fund account where prosecuting talk court, because prosecutor never talked in court, because that's the dollar amount in the pocket of Childress when he was violently attacked at Penford Public Library, $75,904, Richard J. Sieben of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, who stalked me into the Penford Public Library, who drove his Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle over to my residence and is staring at my front door. And Richard J. Sieben, this psychopath cop, is waiting for me to open my front door with his partner so they can stalk me down Penford Road, Bad Road, and into the Penford Public Library. Where's my due process? And when he's attacking me and taking me down the hallway, there's nobody from the district attorney's office present because this bald-headed $28,000 widow, Paul C. Metzler, with the worst wig since Phyllis Diller, wants to send me to jail. This bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzler, once had total control over my life when a prosecutor didn't talk in court. How does this explain to the officer, you bald-headed widow, Paul C. Metzler? You are drenched in hatred. You are vile and sick. If hell is 5,000 degrees for you, Paul C. Metzler, that's not hot enough. So, there are at least 3 prosecutors for me. You psychopaths at the district attorney's office that work for Sandra Doorley. What are their names? You refuse to disclose their names to me. When I read this foil here, for the names of my prosecutors, the freaks are on here. This is the payroll for the district attorney's office. Every time I read that foil and demand you disclose the name of a prosecutor assigned to my court appearances before John P. Lemenzer and Paul C. Metzler, Penford Town Court, and Alex Renzi in the Supreme Court, the freak is right here. This is the payroll. And you, Perry Duckers, at $113, $918, and 94 cents, know the names of my prosecutors. And you refuse to disclose the names of prosecutors because you're corrupt. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Childress, John P. Lemenzer, and Penford Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? The documentation for the case of Christopher Childress for Paul C. Metzler and Penford Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? The documentation for the case of Christopher Childress, the New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. The freak is right here. What's the name of the freak? I'm being prosecuted in total silence. If I was asked, when I was an adult, when I was at SUNY Stony Brook, where I'm a graduate of, or SUNY Fredonia, where I went for 2 years before I enlisted in the Army, when I was a young adult, can you go to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? I know I would immediately think that's ridiculous, that's absurd, that's insane, any number of things. The answer for the state of New York, Monroe County, is yes. You can. You could go to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. You could go to jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor doesn't talk in court. $113,000, Perry Duckles. So, who elevated me, Alex Renzi? I'm at my temporary residence. You know why I'm at my temporary residence, 70 Liberty Pole Way? Because Auntie No Spina locked doors and locked me out when I'm leaving the county jail. That's why. Where I am at 70 Liberty Pole Way. There's a phrase I like to use. Just like when I think about Robert Valente and Lori Pepper Lisiski, Department of Veterans Affairs, who helped me. There's a hearts of gold at 70 Liberty Pole Way. Felix Ortiz is a senior case manager there who helped me. I've talked to Felix on YouTube, where I was at 70 Liberty Pole Way. I'm not going to say it. This is founded by William Booth. I was born in Queens, New York on July 4, 1965 at Booth Memorial Hospital in Queens, named for William Booth. And here I am at this terrific place. Individuals have hearts of gold. Founded by William Booth. So, Paul C. Metzler, my former employer in the United States Senate, United States House of Representatives passed the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act in 1996 to properly protect healthcare records. I'm taken from Monroe County Jail the first time I was in Monroe County Jail to a particular place on Elmwood Avenue that you could figure out that has a 3-letter acronym. There's no 730 mental health evaluation for me. 730 is a section in the law that determines competence. I'm free because I'm competent. I've been given this multiple times and it can be abused. So Paula Metzler, when Dr. Jeremy Smith said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you, you shouldn't be here," and I was released, I had to call my mother and father, who I've not talked to in over a year, and I do not know if they're alive or dead. And I told my mother and father where I was, with a man named John who thinks he's in a concentration camp, with a man named Victor who drools on himself, with a woman who thinks I'm her son. I told my mother and father because I had to, because they didn't know where I was. There's no phones where I was, at the jail and at this place. Where did that time of my life go? That's 6+ weeks, Todd Baxter. What'd you do to me? There are large parts of my life that I've obliterated because you psychopaths at the sheriff's office, district attorney's office, Penfield Courthouse, Renzi. So I told my mother and father for the obvious reason. What I told my mother and father, Todd Baxter, you told Paul C. Metzler in Penfield Town Court. Because Paul C. Metzler stated the name of this place on Elmwood Avenue and asked me if I was there. Because she wants to humiliate me, that's why. What's Paul C. Metzler doing with my healthcare records? The answer is you gave her my healthcare records, Todd Baxter, in violation of federal law. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. The portability is not the portability of you, Todd Baxter, giving Paul C. Metzler my healthcare records. That's not why my former employers passed this law. How do you explain this when I contact the State Department of Health, the Office of Mental Health, the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, Todd Baxter? I do not know the extent to which this is a crime, or if it's a violation, or if it's not a crime. I don't know. It's sleazy and disgusting and immoral. And since you, Todd Baxter, and you, Paul C. Metzler, are sleazy, disgusting, and immoral, listen to this for a while, you psychopaths. A copy of the private health care records delivered to $28,000 Penfield Town Court Judge Paul C. Metzler by Sheriff Todd Baxter of Monroe County in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And you will lie about this. Because you're liars, that's why. Again on this May 9th, Todd Baxter, on the payroll, does this cop freak Shannon Myers paid $83,000? Does $82,000 Andrew Reale, $73,000 Michael Lulan, or $85,000 Don Benedetto? Or $97,000 40+ pounds overweight fat girl Lee LaRoque? Are they paid overtime? Are you paid overtime, you being a Mussolini skinhead? You got your $132,000 salary where you're a double dipper. Do you exist at $150,000, $175,000, Todd Baxter? You have employee after employee on the payroll making more money than you, like Corey Brown and Michael Fowler. Not just by a little bit. Corey Brown's paid $155,000. Michael Fowler's paid $163,000. And they're in Saratoga, New York. I've been on here repeatedly about them. What are they doing in Saratoga? And you didn't disclose the full cost of that trip. What are your employees paid more money than you? $163,000 Michael Fowler, $155,000 Corey Brown doing in Saratoga, you've been in Mussolini skinhead. I repeat myself, corruption requires repetition. How do you explain this to Thomas P. DiNapoli? How do you explain this to people of Monroe County when I start to go to the media? The joke media that really doesn't even know you exist. You are not covered by the Democrat and Chronicle radio and television stations in Monroe County. You're not. The way you should be. Total Freedom of Information Law, May 9th. Total cost of overtime, time, and effort all paid by a base salary count get to Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. Sandra Doorley, when you have real trials, such as a murder trial, you got your employees assigned to the murder trial. Perry Duckles, have you prosecuted a murder trial? I'll guess that you have. Wow, that's not going to be the standard 40-hour work week. If you have worked a 70-hour work week, Perry Duckles, how are you paid from the 41st hour to the 7th hour? And your boss refused and you refused because you're corrupt. Can you double your salaries at the district attorney's office? I'll just look at the freaks again here. I'll pick out one freak here. So Meredith H. Smith, $84,140 and 22 cents. Ken Meredith H. Smith, instead of existing at that salary, existed at $110,000. Go to the second page of the freaks. So on the second page for the freaks, here is Michael L. Robertson at $86,111.90. Can Michael L. Robinson exist at $110,000 with overtime? Is Michael L. Robinson my prosecutor before Alex Renzi or Paul C. Metz or John P. LaMenzo Jr.? You know. Is Christopher Bolkerman at $92,204 and 57 cents? Is he my prosecutor before Paul C. Metz, the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy? I don't know. The two females standing behind me when I was in New York State Supreme Court. Is that Molly Hillary Langdon at $81,136 and Jennifer R. Kennedy at $88,084 and 67 cents? How do you come up with these salaries? Is there some kind of civil service pay scale? I have looked at the payroll when I worked as a public employee for the majority leader and governor because I had to give the payroll to the media. When I worked for Senator Olympia Snow and Congressman Mark Smith at Capitol in Washington, D.C., I looked at the payroll because I had to give the payroll to the media. It was coherent numbers. Nobody's paid in cents. Nobody's paid in these bizarre numbers here. Like you have Christina M. Hinckley at $65,922 and 89 cents. How'd you come up with that? Why does she just pay $65,000 instead of $65,922? Because you're a psychopath, Sandra Doorley. That's why. Ridiculous, disgrace. Ridiculous disgrace coming on my residence, the man, my dog. I'm going to talk about this repeatedly. I'll hold up. When I say repeat, I'll hold up his photograph. May he rest in peace. The best little guy. People love their dogs with their heart and souls. Nothing special because you love your dog. The psychopath cops coming to my residence, the man, my dog. So, that's the foil there. This is sexual harassment at the sheriff's office. You know the answer, Kathleen Miller. I'll tell you what the answer is. The answer is yes, because you're animals. The male employees are animals. Sexual harassment can be a female sexually harassing a male. That happens. It's overwhelmingly men. It's the way it is. Freedom of information. The cost of taxpayers in Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter expended taxpayer dollars on employee-related discrimination lawsuits without apply with Title VII Civil Rights Act 1964. This is why the law is a joke to you, Todd Baxter. I've been demanding this for 18 months. I think I could have written this 50 times, 60 times, 75 times. So, this is sexual harassment at the district attorney's office. You know the answer, Sandra, because if you've used tax dollars to settle an employment-related discrimination lawsuit under this Title VII, the answer is yes. Periodicals, you know the answer. You know the answer without any documentation, without any type of litigation, because you know the environment at the district attorney's office. There are things happening in your district attorney's office, only you employees know about it, you don't tell anybody. Periodicals, has a female employee ever come to you and describe to you behavior you can identify sexual harassment? It's too limiting just to say sexual harassment. I'll tell you what it is. It's a male asking a female out on a date over and over and over, and she is under siege with no. It's a male touching a woman in the office, and she says repeatedly, keep your hands to yourself, don't touch me. It's a male sending a female disgusting, sick emails laden in misogyny. That's sexual harassment every single time. Is there sexual harassment at the district attorney's office? Payroll for the district attorney's office. Martha B. Colburn, $83,326 and 26 cents. Martha B. Colburn. Is there sexual harassment at the district attorney's office as you understand the term? Yeah. On payrolls, Rachel A. Clark, $94,229.25. Rachel A. Clark. Is there sexual harassment at the district attorney's office as you understand the term? Your boss, Sandra Doorley, will refuse to answer that. You know why? Rachel A. Clark, $94,229. And are you my prosecutor before John P. LaMenzo Jr.? Because Sandra Doorley is corrupt. That's why. Now, Todd Baxter's corruption and contracting. This is the last one here that I'm going to hold up of the 11. Every single firearm is contracted. You have the long guns and the rifles too. It's not just a handgun. You have an arsenal. They have to. I'm sure you recall what happened with the West Webster Fire Department 10 plus years ago. This horrific tragedy where this man lured the firemen to his residence in West Webster so he could murder them. When they showed up, he started firing, and he did. Those police officers that arrived on scene heroically had a holster weapon that was provided to them by their respective police department. Todd Baxter, what's the contract for your weapons? You refuse to answer because you're corrupt. Contract signed, Freedom of Information Law. Contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Iowa County Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contractor, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, the total amount of taxpayer dollars spent to purchase firearms. So, what I just read to you on this May 9th are 11 Freedom of Information Law documents. And since you're psychopaths at the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, Pampa Town Court, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, you'll comply with 0. This information I've demanded from you, you have received from me repeatedly. May 6th, May 4th, May 2nd, what I just read is in here. You've also received this is the May 1 here, when I was sending you April Freedom of Information Law documents. All throughout April, I'm communicating with you. So right here on this May 1, where's your name? Sandra Doorley, what are the names of my prosecutors? On this April 27th, Sandra Doorley, what are the names of my prosecutors? On this April 6th, Sandra Doorley, what are the names of my prosecutors? Lisa Gray, on this April 27th, what are the names of my prosecutors? On this April 27th, Julie Siaka, the Monroe County Public Defender. So I'm going to tell Sabrina Lamar, Monroe County Legislature President, your entire existence, Julie Siaka, is because of the Monroe County Legislature, as I understand the law. Quote, from Sabrina Lamar, as legislators, we must utilize this to work in the best interests of those we directly represent in the entire county of Monroe. What she's talking about here when she says utilize this is perspective and experiences. You, Public Defender Julie Siaka, owe your job to the perspective and experiences of Sabrina Lamar and every single member of the Monroe County Legislature. Public Defender Julie Siaka. What are the names of my prosecutors? It's the information you have in your office. You refuse to disclose it because you're corrupt. Who forced me into this fossil, Alex Renzi? I'm telling him he's a fossil. I'm telling him he's corrupt. It's on April 27th. April 27th, this is Trini Ross, the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, who has all these documents I've been holding up for the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. When I'm on YouTube, I think I've been on YouTube more than 100 times now. Paul C. Metzer has my healthcare records here. You got this on April 27th. I've not looked at that list of defendants you sent me from your star chamber, you $28,000 bald-headed widow psychopath. Everybody's going to be guilty, right? How's that explained to the Office of Court Administration? And back to April 6th here. I'm not going to read all these again. So you got these. Well, I'm demanding your names of my prosecutors here. Well, that comes to your office. You also have it, UPS. It's UPS here. First name, Janice McNair, patronage hire at the Sheriff's Office. Did you call County Executive Adam Bell to get this Janice McNair returning my mail to me, that patronage job? Regina Harper, what are the names of my prosecutors? You're all on here. Every name I read there, in here, every name I read here is here on UPS. And you're also getting it Federal Express. God, how's that passion for jails going? Huh? I have a passion for jails? You don't know what you're saying when you say I have a passion for jails. Todd Baxter. What you're saying when you declare you have a passion for jails is that you love suffering. So here we have Silas. This is from Proton Mail Accounts, paid email account, Julie Siaka. Silas at Monroe County Public Defender, Julie Siaka. This is corruption. April 2nd. You're copied on this. Perry Duckers, you can answer this as well. Mark Monahan, you can answer this as well. Michelle Crowley, you can answer this as well. Julie Siaka, mail and names on prosecutor Silas, the address below in Rochester, New York. Read the 10 attached PDF documents resigned. Silas at Monroe County Public Defender, Julie Siaka. Abuse of power, Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi. Identification, Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Insane, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. For $113,918 first security Perry Douglas, identifying prosecutor Silas. YouTube for Monroe County Public Defender Julie Siaka, identifying my prosecutor Silas. This is corruption. It's a public proceeding where I have a taxpayer-financed prosecutor signed every one of my appearances. That is never talked on. What are their names? Julie Siaka. If you're asked by Sabrina Lamar, the president of Monroe County Legislature, why are you refusing to tell the citizen names you have in your office as a public defender? Names that you know. What's your answer, Judy Sianka? What's the answer from Mark Phillips and Regina Harper? I'll tell you what the answer is. You're in fear of the district attorney's office. That's the answer. You want to have some good relationship with these hacks and psychopaths and sociopaths at the district attorney's office. And you want to grovel at their feet. You need to oppose this Leviathan. Judy Sianka, Mark Phillips, and Regina Harper, and you're incapable of doing that because you're in fear of it. So, Judy Sianka, returning my mail to me. Right here. UPS store, Judy Sianka. This is corruption. What are the names of my prosecutors, Judy Sianka? Judy Sianka, UPS store, returning my mail to me. What are the names of my prosecutors, Judy Sianka? This is corruption. Regina Harper, returning my mail to me. This is registered mail return receipts, certified. Those were UPS. It's certified right there. Here's your name. This is corruption. Regina Harper sees this. Sees her name here. Sees my name right here. Return address, UPS, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York. Corruption. The corruption that had her hands on this envelope is Regina Harper, who knows the names of my prosecutors, and then returned this to me. Again, with Regina Harper. This is corruption. I think this weighs 3 or 4 pounds. I have so many documents in here. What names of my prosecutors, Regina Harper? Regina Harper, again, this is UPS. What names of my prosecutors? This is Mark Phillips, UPS. This is corruption right here. Mark Phillips, you know the names of my prosecutors there at the Public Defender's Office, 10 North Fitzhugh Street. Tell me their names. Christopher.chichester@mail.com, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York. Mark Phillips, return my email. Excuse me, UPS. This is registered mail return receipt. That was UPS. I use different ways to communicate with you. You also have received this FedEx. I have the receipts over there, not next to me. Mark Phillips, this is corruption right here. What are the names of my prosecutors? Refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutors. This is, again, Mark Phillips, certified mail. You look at this. When Mark Phillips, when this arrives, when the postman walks in to 10 North Fitzhugh Street and places this in the public defender's office, and Mark Phillips looks at this, sees my name, knows I'm demanding, he discloses the names of my prosecutors in public scene, he refuses to send this back to me, that's corruption. Mark Phillips again, here's your name right here. I fill this out. I think this should be in the public defender's office. All you have to do is contact me, tell me your names, and you send this back to me. That's corruption. So, this here is Jansen McNair, patronage hire at the sheriff's office, UPS, demanding information from him. He's a double dipper just like you, Todd Baxter. I'll say this again and repeat it myself. Did you pick up the phone and call Adam Bell about Jansen McNair returning my mail to me, Director of Public Integrity? Why does Monroe County need a Director of Public Integrity? I'll tell you that's an answer. Monroe County needs a Director of Public Integrity. This hack right here, Jansen McNair. This hack right here, there's his name, coming back to me, because you're a patronage hire, Jansen McNair, because Todd Baxter called Adam Bello and got you this job where you're a double dipper. Is this corruption, District Attorney Sandra Doorley? Is this corruption, Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles? Is this corruption, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Is this corruption, Public Defender Judy Sianka? Is this corruption, Supervising Judge Alex Renzi? The answer is yes, because you could recognize yourself because you're corrupt. Patronage hire Jansen McNair. Double dipper Jansen McNair. Returning my mails to Office of Public Integrity. Why does Monroe County need an Office of Public Integrity? What does that hack do all day? Here he is again. And then I'm going to conclude with the name I just read. But again, this hack is returning this to me. And here's the last one. Again, I think this weighs 5 pounds. Julie Sianka again. Refused 331. So, Julie Sianka, what are the names of my prosecutors? Perry Douglas, what are the names of my prosecutors? Mark Monahan, what are the names of my prosecutors? You refuse to tell me? Because you're corrupt. Now, this is one of my most recent communications with you, or I'll call you leeches because you're leeches on society. Disclose this information to me. But I don't have any more. This is my illegal eviction. I just held it up. I do not have my original DD-214 from 2nd Squad, 17 County, 101st Airborne Division. I had to get a copy from the Department of Defense. I had my original DD-214 when I drove home from 2nd Squad, 17 County, 101st Airborne Division on April 14th, 1988. This was in my 1980 Mercury Capri. This is the destruction of my life by this old man psychopath with the assistance of my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, locking the doors and locking me out from a residence I lived at 8 years without a court order, where I had to contact the Department of Defense to get my DD 14 that I had for 30 years. So, comply with the Freedom of Information Law, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, Paul C. Messer, James B. Mully Jr., Penn Town Court, and you will refuse because you're psychopaths.